Welcome to Standing on the Edge. This is your host, Randy Saplata. Today is Tuesday, May 10th, and today we'll be talking about freedom or security on the edge of the coin. We also have the topic of, is there something I should know during the Think Like the Rich section? And today's personal story will be funeral arrangements. Finally, we're going to finish off the show with what would happen if. Now, I know this is a little bit different because it's on a Tuesday again, which is where I started way back when. But it seems that Tuesday at the moment is going to be the best time to go ahead and air these live videos. So forgive me. I'm glad you're joining me today, and I hope you continue to do so. By the way, if you like the content presented here and in other videos of mine, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up or that like button, and then subscribe to the channel to ensure that Facebook or YouTube keep me around for a while. Make sure you hit that thumbs up and the subscribe button. You are listening to Standing on the Edge. When we come back, it's time for the edge of the coin. And welcome back to the show. Today's extraordinary entertainment. The Edge of a Coin is a segment that shows us a way of opening up our mindsets to allow us to explore both sides of any situation. Once again, today is Tuesday, May 10th, and I thank you very much for going ahead and joining us today. Today's topic is freedom or security. Freedom or security. Now, I have touched upon freedom and security several times over the course of the past year and a half in doing these shows. But today's going to be a little bit interesting, I think, considering the events that have been happening recently. And just for historical sake, so that everybody understands where we're at, right now, we're about a month and a half in, or maybe just over 2 months, to Russia pulling out its stops and trying to go ahead and envelop Ukraine back into the fold of Mother Russia. At the same time, we got China going ahead and rattling its saber, trying to go ahead and make sure that we stay, as the United States, stay away from Taiwan. And the Federal Reserve is having to go ahead and tighten up its policy. So it's rattling its saber also. Once you get finished with that, we've got the CDC, the United States CDC, that's going ahead and rattling its saber, and it's saying that we have to prepare for yet another pandemic. And you got some of the major rich people, so to speak, Bill Gates in particular, that's saying exactly the same thing. We have to prepare now for the next one. I'm curious though, what is the next thing? Because right now, like I said in last show, crises seem to be a dime a dozen right now. I mean, they are popping up all over the place, and it's really difficult to go ahead and figure out what's real, what's not, and what matters. I mean, that's pretty much how it boils down to right there. So freedom or security is a very, very important thing, because in the United States for the past roughly 200 years or more, we have been told that we are free. We have the right to say what we want. We have the right to bear arms. We have the right to leave when we want to. We have the right to go ahead and build our own business if we want to. We have the right to go ahead and put ourselves into economic slavery if we want to also. But right now, we don't seem to have much freedom, and it's all in the name of security. Now, let me go ahead and give you my definition of freedom and security, because they both come pretty much the same way. The ultimate freedom is having everything under your responsibility, and you are able to do everything that you want and pay the consequences for it, and or reap the benefits for it. Security, the ultimate security, would be in a maximum security prison, where you have zero freedoms, zero rights, all kinds of limitations, but you're secure because you're not going anywhere. You're being fed every part of the day. You're getting exercise. That people are making sure you get free medical care. Everything is provided for you. You just have no freedom. top that off with what the World Economic Forum, right now led by Klaus, I can't remember his last name right now, but if you've been following any kind of economic news, you know what I'm talking about. But regardless, the World Economic Forum is saying at this point, we are in the process of making a new world order where everybody has the ultimate security. And that raises red flags to me right there. And they say, you will own nothing and be happy. Well, I don't know about you. I certainly haven't done it. I certainly have not been in a maximum security prison. But I don't know a single maximum security prisoner that's happy about having nothing and being there. I mean, that's pretty much what I equate this with, because I will have zero freedoms if I choose this particular lifestyle. I will have zero privacy if I choose this particular lifestyle. But at the same time, I will need or want for nothing because my job, so to speak, which will be forced upon me, by the way, will be provided for. I will be given a universal basic income, which means that I will have zero chance at any kind of raises or even at getting ahead if I need to. But if I need a car, if I need a tool, if I need something to eat, it's going to be lent to me to go ahead and use. The food is given to me, but I have to pay for it out of my universal basic income. And if I'm not using my bed, then I have to move on to something else, and somebody else will use my bed for that particular time. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Now, I like to consider myself a minimalist in a lot of ways because I really don't need a lot to go ahead and survive, or even to thrive for that matter. I mean, I'll be happy with a smaller bed for my wife and I, a smaller place to go ahead and live in for the time being, but I also need a computer space to go ahead and run these videos for you guys. I also would like to go ahead and have a nice big backyard where I can go ahead and build a boat or something of that nature, whether it happens to be another vehicle or what's what I'm looking for, a shed to go ahead and, I mean, whatever I want to go ahead and do. I want to go ahead and have a nice little garden in the back so I can go ahead and relax and enjoy it and play with my grandkids while I'm there. I don't want somebody to say, okay, time's up, move on, somebody else is coming in. I would like to go ahead and choose for myself when my time is up and I need to go ahead and move on. So I lean very, very heavily towards the freedom aspect. And yeah, that means that I might not be able to have a lot of money at certain times, but I'm also guaranteed that if I strive hard enough, that I have a great, great, great chance of creating a great amount of wealth in doing so. And if somebody else wants to say, well, we're not going to let you keep anything, that brings up another matter, which is, who does have everything? Because I can guarantee you the people in the World Leadership Forum are not placing themselves in this same aspect. No. Now, they might share certain things such as Uber yachts or castles or mansions or whatever, something like that nature, and come along every once in a while, decide where they want to go ahead and go. But there's nobody telling them that, hey, it's time to get out. Somebody else is coming in. Hey, it's time to move on because we need this mooring yacht, this mooring spot for another Uber yacht. They're not saying, hey, you're only limited to $1 million a day. Move it or lose it. No, they're not doing any of this. So so the way I'm understanding it is everybody will be happy as long as they follow the rules that somebody else is making up for them. But the people that are making the rules are not following their own rules. They have a different set of rules. Well, this has always been the case for the rich. That's why my second segment of the show is called Think Like the Rich. But right now, the rich don't want you to think like the rich. Now, let me take a step back and make a caveat. That is not all rich. That is not even all uber rich. It is the people that are attending and agreeing with the World Economic Forum. And by the way, here's a very interesting thing, which I brought up the last show as well, which is that the current Pope Francis, has been attending a lot of these World Economic Forums and is right now also agreeing with a lot of the same things that the World Economic Forum is talking about. Has to make you wonder. All right. So, freedom and security. I personally enjoy freedom. That's what I want. That's what I am looking for. And really, the one thing that I was supposed to have been guaranteed when I was born into the country that I was born into the United States. I understand that a lot of people around the world do not have the same basic freedoms or the same basic rights, and I'm not apologetic for that. I wish that they were, but I do know that many of them tried to come here to the United States to be able to take advantage of those same freedoms, and I applaud that. I want you to succeed as much as possible, as long as you're doing things in a way that's not going to hurt myself or my family or my community. If you're benefiting, by all means, come here and make yourself successful. If you make yourself richer than I am at the same time, kudos to you. Great job. But if you come here and you want to go ahead and try to sow dissent, and you want to go ahead and sell everybody arms, or you want to go ahead and sell everybody drugs, or you want to go ahead and put a lot of stuff into the neighborhood that doesn't belong here, then no, I don't want you here. I really don't. I would like you to go ahead and move somewhere else where that type of activity is more allowable and you can go ahead and thrive in that situation. And you would be free at that point, because if you go ahead and come and do those things in my neighborhood, then no longer am I free and no longer am I secure. And that's the other thing. Security really is not secure because, like I said, in this new world order where nobody has anything but we're happy, the biggest thing that comes along is that, like I said, you're told when you have to move on. Well, if you don't know when that's going to be, let's say, for example, you have the day off and you want to go ahead and do some things, but you decide right at the last second you want to go ahead and sleep in. Well, all of a sudden there's boom, boom, boom. Here come the bed police and say, "Come on, get out," kick you out of the bed and move you along. Well, that's not very secure. That's not very secure at all. I would not feel happy about that, period. So I'm not sure where these world leaders are coming up with their ideas that everybody's going to be happy for doing these things. Very, very, very strange, but definitely something to think about, because guess what? They're planning it for, like I said, 2030. 2030, that is less than 8 years away, just over 7 at the moment. Definitely something to think about. Freedom or security, which one do you want? I'd like you to go ahead and let me know. But more importantly, I want you to think about it, because right now, the starting point of this is going to be next January. Next January, the banks of the world, the World Bank, the central bankers of the world, and central governments of the world, so to speak, or centralized governments, I should say, are all planning on going ahead and starting up their brand new digital currencies. They are the government currencies, the official currencies. So for those of you that have Bitcoin or Ethereum or Dogecoin or any of the others, there's a very good chance that they're going to either be swept into this particular coin, meaning that you can exchange them for this centralized digital coin, or they're going to be outlawed if they don't comply with what the government says. And the government is right now saying, we want to track everybody. We cannot do that if you have cash. We cannot do that if you have your own digital coin at the moment that is not part of our centralized system. They want zero freedom. Why? Because if you have zero freedom, that means that they control everything that you do, everything that you see, everything that you say, everything that you hear, and ultimately where you live permanently, whether it's in your own apartment for a few hours a day or in their maximum security prison cell. It's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. Very interesting. Anyway, we are going to definitely have to go ahead and continue watching these situations and developments. However, I'm going to say right now, plain and simple, that for those of you that have the ability to do so, and you know you can go ahead and do it, get the hell out of Dodge. Get out of Dodge. Find a place that has, if not better freedoms, at least has less security that you have than here in the United States. Now, that one of the bad things about being in the United States right now, or a citizen of the United States, is that I cannot go ahead and move to another country and play by their rules only. I'm still taxed as a United States citizen. I'm still considered a U.S. citizen, and therefore all the rules, responsibilities, and expectations go along with it. Now, at the moment, I can go and be a resident in another country and still pay taxes here in the United States if I know how to do it correctly. If I do it correctly, I'm not paying taxes on 100% of my income, only on 100% of my income that came from the United States. And then I pay tax to the other resident country, whatever it happens to be, for the tax of the income that I made there. And that is also thinking like the rich. So if you can go ahead and do that, by all means, get it done, because you're going to need it very, very, very soon. You are listening to Standing on the Edge. When we come back, it's time to think like the rich. And welcome back to the show. Think Like the Rich is brought to you by Mama's Decadence, offering luxurious refreshment for your body inside and out. You need to treat your body and that of your lover to a bit of luxury from Mama's. You can find out what's available by emailing Heather at Mama's Decadence. That's MOMMAS DECADENTS, Mama's Decadence at gmail.com. By the way, Mama's is hosting a sock drive at the moment to benefit the homeless people of Atlanta. She's looking for new or unworn black or white socks. That's what's preferred. And the homeless event is going to be on June 18th. If you need more information, telephone 470-554-2134, or you can email Heather at mamasdecadence@gmail.com. Now, Think Like the Rich is a segment designed to help everyone think past their circumstance and encourage a different course of action. Today's topic is there something I should know? Is there something I should know? This is always a pertinent subject in my house. Always. My biggest issue most of the time with what I do and where I have to do it is that I have to communicate immensely or a lot with the rest of my family members. That's actually not the issue for me. The issue is the other parts of my family need to communicate with me also. And that way I don't go ahead and start intruding on their space, and they're not intruding upon what I have to do as well. Communication is a huge thing. It's a two-way street. When I communicate to people saying, hey, this is what I'm doing over the course of the next week, I need you to let me know that if you're planning on doing this, or if I'm planning on doing this, and you've got other things that need to be done at the same time, let me know quick so I can go ahead and either work around you or you can work around me, one or the other. It doesn't happen a lot of times. And if for those of you that have teenagers, you understand why, because this is exactly what happens 99% of the time. It's with the teenager, and they don't think until the last second that they want to go ahead and get up and do something. And so they start doing whatever they do. And I'm asking them, why are you doing that now? You knew I was supposed to be doing the radio show, or you know I was supposed to be mowing the lawn, or you know I was supposed to be going ahead and getting up and preparing for my own show for trivia that night. Well, I didn't think. Okay, guess what? Over the course of the next 7 years, thinking is exactly what these people, the World Economic Forum, do not want you to do. They don't want you to do this. They don't want you to know certain things. They're not going to hide things from you. They're not going to go ahead and put things in different arenas where you can't find them. However, they are going to use certain keywords and certain vocabulary and place them in certain places where most people would not think to look. And then on top of that, they will send hundreds of millions of distractions to go ahead and keep you looking in another direction. Case in point, wars. Case in point, pandemics. Case in point, money that is not available because it's being inflated away. Case in point, this new digital currency and universal basic income and free education, because the government has already approved so many certain people to go ahead and have their education's tuitions wiped free, and they're continuing to try to go ahead and do so. And now they're asking for more and more and more and more and more money. Well, if you don't know about these things because you're too interested in getting onto YouTube and watching videos about sailing away to the Bahamas, or getting on and driving as fast as you possibly can in a Lamborghini or a Bentley, or a Bugatti, excuse me, not a Bentley, or you're trying to go ahead and play a digital game such as Ebony or Minecraft or whatever the case may be, then yes, they got you where they want you, distracted. Now, I'm not saying that any of the things that I just went ahead and mentioned are bad things. Not at all. But if they are giving you that to the point where you are doing absolutely nothing else or want to do nothing else, then you're exactly where they want you. They've got you under their thumb. And that is what I don't like. That is what I don't like. So my question is there something I should know? I'm constantly looking at all kinds of news resources right now, not because I'm looking for bad news, but because I want to find the stuff that's hidden behind the bad news. So, for example, if I'm watching Fox News, and I really can't stand Fox News. Fox News is not my favorite place to go ahead and be, because they got all kinds of stuff that just I don't care about. I really don't, I mean, they might have at this particular current moment, they'll be talking about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp's divorce, and they're in court for doing so. I'm not interested in that. But then they'll go ahead and slip in a very, very tiny little notice that's about 10 seconds long and say the Dow just dropped 20%. And we're going to go back live again to this circus that happens to be in court. And that's what I'm looking for, is those little 10-second snippets that don't seem to be much of anything, but they are super uber especially important to everybody if you think about it. And so that's the stuff that I want to know about. That's the stuff that I'm looking for. That's the stuff that I know is going to affect myself, and it's going to affect you, and it's going to affect my family, and it's going to affect your family, and it's going to eventually affect everybody around the world. That being the case, start getting your communities together. Find like-minded people outside of Facebook, outside of TikTok, outside of any of this digital media presence, and start preparing for these eventualities. Because if you don't get prepared, you're going to be stuck in the mud. And if you get stuck in the mud, then the only thing that can happen is you have zero control over what happens to you. And for those of you that are thinking right now, well, you're just one of those preppers that's paranoid about everything. Okay, you know what? A little paranoia is very healthy. A lot of paranoia is not. Okay, and I'm a little paranoid about certain things because the way I look at it is this: if I prepare for myself and my family, and nothing happens, it just means that I've got extra food, extra toilet paper, extra amenities to use over the course of the coming years. But if something does happen and I'm prepared for it, that means that I have control, whereas the people that did not prepare do not. At the same time, if I am preparing for these things and I've got certain things, then I want to make sure that they're safely put away where only I and my family know about it, and maybe not even all of my family, but that nobody else can come in and say, well, you got all kinds of stuff. You got 25 years worth of toilet paper. We're going to go ahead and raid your toilet paper cabinet because we need it since the power went out and we have no place to go ahead and put our crap. We're going to go ahead and raid your toilet paper cabinet and wipe off from there. And while we're there, oh my gosh, look what else you got. Let's go ahead and take some of this, some of that, some of this, and some of that. Well, I want to make sure that's all safely hidden so that nobody knows where it's at either. But the uber rich right now, they don't care about these things because they know they can get it in bulk, in quantity, whenever they want it, whatever they want. And they don't care if they have to spend extra for it because they got the money to do so. Therefore, they can go ahead and say to everybody else, well, we can control this because we can get it whenever we want to. And we're going to go ahead and be very generous and dole it out to you little by little by little. It's kind of like taking a package of toilet paper for themselves. And I know I'm on a toilet paper kick right now, but let's say they take a 4-pack of toilet paper right now and they say, this is great, we're going to go ahead and help you out. Here's a roll of toilet paper for you to use, and they go ahead and put the other package away. And when you come back and say, oh, we need another pack of toilet, we need another roll of toilet paper, of course, no problem, here's a brand new unopened pack, let's open it up, there's you one, let's put the other 3 away. Where are the other 3 going? Because if they're not going to me, I doubt seriously that they're going to be very open about the fact and transparent that all 4 of those are being given away to other people as well. I have a feeling that probably out of that 25%, 4-pack, 1 pack is given away, 3 packs are being hoarded for themselves to go ahead and do whatever they want to. You know what? Just give me the whole 4-pack. I'll use it when I need it, and then I'll come back and get some more and go from there, or I'll go ahead and purchase it at that point. But don't tell me that I have to come back and say, please, 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 may I have a roll of toilet paper? I got to go take a crap. That's not fun. And it's certainly not going to make me happy because I don't own the toilet paper or anything else. But the rich have a saying. They say, don't let a good crisis go to waste, or never let a good crisis go to waste. Because if you do, then you're not in control of anything. And you're not in control of everything. And that means that you are not being a good rich person, so to speak, and therefore have to be put on the naughty list. Speaking of naughty lists, that's an interesting thing, because I mentioned this on the last show that I had, when I said when I was talking about the World Economic Forum, the people that they're scared of are the people that are self-sufficient, the people that can go ahead and go outside of the cities and grow things for themselves. The people that can go outside of the cities and build their own houses and their own vehicles. The people that can go outside of the cities and wander freely whenever they want to. Whereas the people in the good little citizens inside of the city are being wonderful, and they've got their own little space to go ahead and sleep, and they got their wonderful little kitchens they can go ahead and use to eat, such as these community kitchens, and they go back and forth and go ahead and come along and say, please may I have, please may I have, please may I have, and they've got 20 minutes to go and eat their food and move on. Well, you know what? I got out of high school, I graduated out of high school and said, forget it, I never want to do that again. I never want to stand in line to go ahead and collect the food that they're giving to me to try to wolf it down, something that I can't stomach in 20 minutes so I can go on and move on to the next thing. I'm not in school anymore. I don't want to do that. If I decide I want to go ahead and eat something that's good for me, that I enjoy, that I want to go ahead and take my time doing so. I want to have that choice, not give it to somebody else. You are listening to Standing on the Edge. When we come back, it's time for Tales from the Edge. Welcome back to the show. Tales from the Edge is brought to you by the HRS Foundation, investing in future generations to ensure a better tomorrow. Tales from the Edge is a shared personal example of people and situations that I've experienced during my path to growing wealthy. Today's story is about funeral arrangements. What? Funeral arrangements? Why am I talking about funeral arrangements on a small business show? Why am I talking about funeral arrangements, period? Well, here's the thing. Here's another little tenet from math class back in high school that I really didn't think I would ever go ahead and need. But they have a little statement in geometry and algebra that goes, it's the if-then rule, meaning if this happens, then that is going to be the outcome. If this is what you're putting into it, then that is what's going to become of it correctly in doing so. Well, right now, if we keep printing billions and trillions of dollars for wasteful stuff, such as sending arms that we're supposedly not sending to the war, sending materiel that supposedly we're not sending to the war, printing up trillions and trillions of dollars to go ahead and make up vaccines that are going to be useless or not used at all, printing up trillions and trillions of dollars to go ahead and fund people's lifestyles that are not going to do anything but be good little people. If we do that, the death of the dollar is already here. If we do that, then the people that are going to die are the ones that have been taking all this extra medication and they're overdosing on it. People don't realize it. If we continue to do these things, we're going to give away gladly our freedoms. And guess what? I might as well be put in a casket and buried, because that's about the amount of freedom that I'm going to have. And I want to make my funeral arrangements right now. Now, I touched on this in a different way during the last segment. And I said this: get yourself out of Dodge if you can go ahead and do so. This is basically getting your funeral arrangements in order, okay? Find out where you want to go. Figure out what you can do to get an income there. Decide whether or not you want to live there permanently or temporarily, and then repeat the process if necessary. I mean, right now, I just had a little thought that, not right now. Years ago, I was thinking, okay, you know what? I might just go ahead and retire down to Belize. I might go ahead and do that. It's not that far. It still uses the U.S. dollar, so I can go ahead and get there, live there somewhat inexpensively, for the most part. I can get there fairly easily. Right now, the current conditions, or at that time, the current conditions were very easy for me to go ahead and either sail, drive, and or take a plane or bus there and cross the border nice and easy. And all I had to do was go ahead and pay whatever I needed to live there. They had pretty much open borders, so even if I decided not to be anything but a resident, permanent or otherwise, all it meant was that every 6 months I had to go ahead and go back to the United States. And then I could come back again afterwards. Very nice and simple. I've since changed my mind because I really don't like a lot of heat. And so I don't want to be that close to the tropics to go ahead and do that. So I'd want to go ahead and find someplace that's a little bit cooler and has a little more what's the word I'm looking for? Hills and valleys and possibly mountains and lakes and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? A little more geography, so to speak, than a bunch of jungle. If I had to, I'd go ahead and do the jungle, but I really would not want to for the most part. So that particular arrangement was kind of moved on out from there. I've looked into several other places. I've looked into Montenegro. I've looked into Spain. I've looked into Ireland. I've looked into even the UK, but I really don't want to do that. Up into Norway, over into the Czech Republic. Hungary. I've looked at basically about a dozen different places that I could go ahead and go to, even thinking about Ethiopia for that matter, and possibly even Sudan. But everything's got its highs, everything's got its lows, everything's got its pros and its cons, and so on and so forth. And so there have been things where I have not necessarily said no to, but I can't necessarily say yes to either. I've got to go ahead and figure out for myself what's going to be the best for me. Now, at the same time, those of you that are here in the United States and you haven't been preparing at all for any of this, basically your window is about to be slammed shut, because I believe that once we get introduced to this digital coin, this governmental digital coin, we're going to have less than 1 month. Less than 1 month. I could be wrong, but I believe we're going to have less than 1 month to transfer everything that we've got into this digital wallet, which will be then handed to us and say, here, use this. Now, if you don't do that, that means you lose control over what you had beforehand. So if you have, let's say, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 stuffed underneath your mattress or stuffed in a case, a safe somewhere, I can't see why you would, but if you do, I believe that come January 1st, within 1 month, you're going to have to go ahead and take that $300,000 and place it into a bank of some sort where it can be viewed and seized if necessary. And then what's going to happen is the United States government is going to say, you see all of this paper money right here, it is no longer able to be used for anything. It is worth less. It's, in fact, the only thing it's good for is to go ahead and burn. And of course, we know you don't burn money very long. It takes a couple of seconds and it's gone. And then you're out of it right there. So that's about the only thing it'll be good for right then, is starting fires. Or, well, you might be able to use it for toilet paper. Who knows? In any case, that's what I believe is going to happen. So if you've got 30 days or less come the beginning of January to go ahead and get everything moved over into a digital presence, if you had not done so, then once that happens, you have everything then being tracked by the government. So if you have decided in February 1st that you want to go ahead and get yourself a plane ticket and move to Belize or somewhere else that might be good for you, and the government says, why are you moving to Belize? You've never thought about this before that we know of. And by the way, since you're having to do that, we need you to go ahead and verify that you're going to be able to go ahead and still pay your taxes, and that you're not going ahead and setting up any kind of illegal foreign business there or anything of that nature. And by the way, while you're doing that, we need you to stay here on this soil for about the next 6 months while we go ahead and verify all of this and move on from there. Well, that means that things go a lot slower and things get a lot more difficult in doing so than they are right now. Basically, you're using up and preparing or planning your funeral arrangements. That's about the best way to go ahead and say it. So if that's going to be the case, then you're already behind the fact. It is now May, the first week of May, basically, going into the second week of May. You have just over 6 months if you don't want people to know what you're doing at all times. You got basically 6 months to go ahead and make those plans and get started on those plans and prepare to go ahead and do what you need to do just in case. Now, if you are okay with the government going, hey, we are going to go ahead and stay here for the next 6 months. This is what we're planning on doing. We want to do things legally, and we want to go ahead and make sure you're understanding about that. Well, okay, that's great. And that's a very proper way to go ahead and do that. But I'd start that now rather than after the beginning of the year, when you have to do that. And therefore, the government's already going, oh, yeah, they've been planning that for months. They've been planning that for almost a year. They want to go ahead and do that. We've given them their blessing. They've already got things set up the proper way. Let them have it. and the government will probably go ahead and let you do that. But if you have been working at a job that's only paying you $13, $14, $15 an hour for the past year or so, and you decide you want to go ahead and make up a $100,000 to $150,000 business exporting something into another country, or starting a business down there that you can go ahead and start it for $10,000, and you do it after the fact, they're going to go, wait a minute, how are you getting this money? And why are you planning on doing it now? And they're going to set up all kinds of red flags. So, like I said, plan for it, prepare for it, get it in the works now, because the end of the year is not going to be the time to do it. It's already going to be too late. When you're planning, let me tell you this from personal experience. You can start up a business immediately of any kind and get it going from day one. But if you plan to go ahead and do it where you're going to have all of your I's dotted, your T's crossed, your lowercase J's curved, everything that you need to go ahead and do, and making sure that you have a governmental presence that knows what's going on and where you're headed and what's going on. And you've got all of these things happening long before you ever set foot into that particular country, including the proper visas that they need to go ahead and do, and working with the government on that side. It's going to take you a minimum of 8 months. 8 months. Well, right now, you don't have 8 months to do that properly. So you got to get it moving now. So then the government says, yes, they've been planning on this, they've been taking care of it, and you stay under their radar because they can go ahead and see that you've been doing it. Technically, it's on their radar, but it's still low enough to where it's not flying high enough to be a problem for them. And this is where I think everybody needs to be right now. If you haven't started thinking about it, think about it quick, think about it a lot, and start making your plans. You are listening to Standing on the Edge. When we come back, it's time to close out the show with What Would Happen If. And welcome back to the show. What Would Happen If is brought to you by DJR Enterprises. Great entertainment when you need it. You can call 470-554-2134 to get involved in the wonderful opportunity that is your next event. Today's topic for What Would Happen If is starting over. And I know a lot of you are going, wait a minute, starting over. Why are you bringing that up now? Well, the reason I'm bringing up starting over now is because that's exactly what's going to happen. If you are stuck in this country, in the United States or your respective country, wherever the case may be, and the government decides to make you play by their rules, then you will have to start over doing what they want you to do. If you've been planning and preparing and you went ahead and got out of Dodge and moved to a place that gave you less security, but greater or equal freedoms, wherever the case might be, or even just slightly less freedoms, but still more openness to do what needed to be done, then once again, you are starting over. You have to start over in a new country. You got to start over with a new language. You got to start over with a new, whatever the case may be. People have done this for thousands of years. I mean, they've gone ahead and moved from wherever they happen to be, whether it's because of a famine that came along, or it was war, or it was some sort of cataclysm that happened along the way. They went ahead and picked up, they moved on, they went to another place, and they settled there, learning new ways, new customs, new languages, new nuances, new ways of doing business. I mean, anything and everything. They learned it new. They started over. I can't tell you how many times this has happened in the past century and a half, 2 centuries here in the United States. I mean, for the longest time, and still to a great extent, for the longest time, this country, the United States, has always been the grandest of all dreams for anybody in the world. They wanted to go somewhere that they could go ahead and start over and be free. It was North America. And that could have been Mexico, that could have been the United States, that could have been Canada. It didn't matter because any one of the three was pretty much the same in relationships of the freedoms that they would have to go ahead and be able to thrive more so than where they were in their own respective countries. But they had to start over. Yes, you will too. You can start over, and as long as you have your health, as long as you have a place to lay your head, you have some sort of way to go ahead and keep yourself warm and fed, even if it's barely, such as with a not a security blanket, a safety blanket that's metallized on the one side with a reflective layer, but it goes ahead and keeps your heat in. The emergency blankets, that's what I'm trying to think of. And you've got a way to go ahead and make a fire, and you've got a way to go ahead and hunt and cook your own food, or go ahead and collect it from somewhere. And you've got a place to go ahead and lay your head down that's not gonna be in a nest of ants, or a nest of snakes, or anything of that nature that's going to go ahead and be dangerous to you. Then you're going to be just fine. You can survive very easily off of just a few dollars a day. How do I know this? Because people all over the world do it. People all over the world do it. I mean, I remember back when I went to Spain to study back in 1995, 1996. And I was there for a little less than a year. And including the plane ticket and my eating and eating out, and my going to school, and my rent, and my little enjoyable trips that I took while I was there, I spent less than $2,000 for 6 months or more of living. $2,000. Right now, I can't live 1 month for less than $2,000 here in the United States. But you can do it all over the place outside of the United States, and outside of the UK, and outside of some of these first world countries, and even in some of those first world countries, if you know where to go and how to work your system, how to go ahead and handle yourself, how to make sure that you can go ahead and thrive without being a bother to somebody else. But again, you have to start over. Well, it's a dirty business, but somebody's got to go ahead and do it. That's all I can say. But if you have been enjoying what I've been saying, if you have realized that what is involved in the next 6 to 7 months and then the next 7 years, I think you're going to very quickly find that you need to go ahead and take my advice to get out of Dodge, to do something to where you are not able to be tracked, to be able to go ahead and move around wherever you want to without somebody saying, no, you can't do that. And or to go ahead and ensure that while it might be a little more difficult, that you start over someplace brand new that allows you more freedoms that you have that's coming up. You've been listening to Standing on the Edge. I want to thank you, everybody, for going ahead and coming in, enjoying this particular show on its new day on Tuesdays. Don't forget to send me a text to 470-554-2134, or you can go ahead and send me an email to joinmeattheedge@gmail.com. So you can go ahead and get the link to the GoFundMe page, because I'm still looking, and as always, I'm looking for partners to go ahead and help fund this show. It's as little as $1, and all you have to do is go ahead and send it to a GoFundMe page called Standing on the Edge. If you're not sure how you want to go ahead and do that, send me a text. I'll go ahead and give you some more information, and we can go ahead and work something else out. My next show is going to be, God willing, next Tuesday, May 17th, once again at noon. But until then, I want to say thank you, and remember to expand your awareness. Think of something every day to help you on your own path, and hopefully soon I'll see you joining me on the edge. See you next Tuesday.